Welcome to the Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. This podcast is dedicated to providing the key ingredients to transform your employees into a dream team, creating consistent results in every aspect of your business, including your people, your process, and your profits. Your team empowerment, leadership, business development, communication, hiring, and firing. As some of the country's leading staffing and management consultants, we help business owners, i.e. entrepreneurs, and the team that support them, what we call intrapreneurs, to powerfully connect and work together to grow the business. I am so excited about today's guest. We are going to be speaking with Trust Nota, Nota.com. And our guest today is Paul Garibian. Paul, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Paul and I are going to be speaking on a law firm summit again. Actually, that's going to kick off today by the time this launches on February 9th. We are so excited to be on there. What's your topic you're going to be speaking on?
So I'm going to be talking about entrepreneurship and finance in a context, how to build a business, in a context of finance and entrepreneurship, still kind of building those slides, but very relevant to what you and I are going to talk about.
Yes. And we have our dear friend Moshe, who's put together this amazing event, and we're really, really excited. So to be in the show notes, how you get involved in things of that nature. So Paul, go ahead. Today, we're going to be speaking about IOLTA Accounting Reinvented. And before we dive into all the juiciness of this, I bet you this is probably going to be one of my greatest open podcasts because, as you know, attorneys are very, very excited about really how to reconcile their IOLTA account in real time, close the loop between the bank account, the check account, the client ledger, and all that stuff, which truly in the law firms that I have been coaching and consulting for the past 25 years, that is what keeps them up at 2:00 in the morning. But I'd love to hear your background and kind of talk to us a little bit about how you got started in this crazy world.
Awesome. Yeah, no, happy to do that. So my background is, I've spent 18 years in Fintech, basically building platforms, payment platforms, trading platforms for financial institutions to use. And, in that journey, I got introduced to, M&T Bank was a client of mine, a bank, Fortune 500 bank based in the Northeast. And they came across a problem for their attorney clients, which has to do with trust accounting, IOLTA accounting. And that really resonated with me because, I come from a family of small business owners. And, one thing that, attorneys are, they're business owners, and they have this problem with IOLTA accounting. And we thought, hey, we build banking products, why not just building for this, wonderful community that helps promote social justice in the world. And, we are bankers and Fintech guys, such as myself. Why not provide them the tools and the services of smart solutions to empower them to build their business? So I, took over Nota a little over a year ago. And we've been on this journey with our wonderful community of solo and small law firms that are helping us co-create, banking products and services specifically designed for this community.
And you use the word a couple of times, Fintech, which is such a new term that I've been seeing everywhere that lawyers might not be totally immersed in it as an industry. So can you speak a little bit about what that means for you?
Yeah, happy to. Just like, everything else is, the financial services industry, is getting disrupted by this wonderful technology that we all have access to. And so basically Fintech is a short way of saying, enabling financial services with modern technology to bring a better service to your customers.
Yeah, I see that terminology more and more and more. And as you said, the creative disruption. And I know you've had thousands of attorneys who have banked, obviously, with M&T. You're back empowered by M&T. You've been seen in the National Law Review. You've been featured in Legal Tech News, law.com, Forbes Top 50, top 5% of banks, top 5 SBA lender, and just a very, very, very impressive background. So let's dive in. Talk to us a little bit about what this means in regards to IOLTA Accounting Reinvented and why our listeners, why our law firms should be listening up.
Well, thank you. That's a wonderful question, and I'll tell you, we've been so fortunate in such a short period of time to get all those accolades and get so much coverage from the financial industry as well as the legal industry. And Nota, in a way, kind of sits in the intersection of both of those industries, the law as well as the financial services. And we're trying to be a bridge between the two, which right now they're very isolated. And the more tools our attorneys adopt, the more challenges they start to face with kind of integration between those tools and their banking world, which is traditionally has been lagging behind, as well as the kind of the legal industry. So what we've done is that we've taken something very traditionally ambiguous, such as IOLTA accounting or trust accounting, and we radically simplified it. We've made it so simple for an attorney to be able to tag transactions directly in their bank account with a very simple user experience that you're used to using on your iPhone. And one of the feedbacks that we're getting from the clients that use, or users that use our bank account, our software, which is combined into one, is the fact that you don't need to be a CPA to understand trust accounting. Nota revolutionized and simplified this somewhat ambiguous process. And one of the things that we do, we're putting guardrails into the system to prevent you from making mistakes as you try to reconcile your client's funds to the penny directly in your bank account. And because the alternative is you have to print your bank statements, you have to go to either QuickBooks or your practice management or a spreadsheet and compare them to either a spreadsheet, QuickBooks, or their client matters in practice management software. And Nota basically radically simplified that process by giving you the ability to do things directly in your bank account with a very simple user experience that does not need you to have CPA type training to do trust accounting. You can directly tag your client matters in your bank account. And there are guardrails put in the system that prevents our users from making mistakes, which ultimately prevent them from getting disbarred or getting in trouble with ethics committees.
Did I hear you correctly? You can directly tag your client matters in your bank account?
That's right. That's the revolutionary product that we've built that enables you to do things directly in your bank account.
And then is there an API of some sort that will also integrate with your CRM?
So we are in a process of, we have an integration with LoPay. We have integration with QuickBooks. We're in a process of doing an integration with Clio and other top practice management providers. So yes, the idea is for you to have a very cohesive experience where you can do things, everything related to your finance processing, the Nota.
Wow. You've said some names that will ring our listeners' attention, so to speak, in regards to LawPay and Clio and what have you. So that's exciting to hear. I love that you can directly tag the client in matters right there in your bank account, which is probably, very much the truest definition of fintech. Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, the world is increasingly moving into a place of, you mentioned that API, where things are very open and, seamless. And that's really the technology that we're taking advantage of to bring this cohesive experience to our users, where they don't have to do all this manual or double work.
So using something such as Nota, even though it's powered by M&T Bank, what have you, for the end user, like, all right, sign me up. If I know my clients, I know my attorneys, I know the law firms I've spoken with, directly tagging clients in the matters in your bank account where it's cohesive in regards to parking in your CRM and things of that nature. What does, if some of the reasons to, or barriers, if you will, if making this jump is, I could see people saying, oh, I'll need to switch bank accounts. What about my manual effort that I have in place in my system? Can I incorporate the way I do things right now into this technology? Is there a need to switch banks?
So Molly, currently we're only you have to have an IOLTA account with M&T Bank, which we can open for you, within hours. And basically, Nota is at no charge, no additional charge.
Great.
And we're offering this service because we are asking for your banking relationship in return. So it's very simple. We're continuing to build very innovative solutions, and we want to be the bank for attorneys. And so, yes, you can continue to bank with your, and I'm not going to mention any other banks, but it's essentially a dumb bank account. And what we've built, that hasn't changed in 20 years, or probably more than that. And
what we've built
is a modern bank account that is built in partnership with attorneys for attorneys. So that way they can spend more time practicing law and better servicing their clients instead of dealing with compliance, accounting, or financial issues as it relates to their practice.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, is that it's like a dummy account, so to speak, and you can continue doing what you're doing. You make it seamless and effortless. We'll have it set up within hours for you. It's very clear and concise what the intentionality and purpose and premise of this account is. So you don't have to move all of your operating accounts, and you're able to have this account, which is also online banking for businesses. And what I love about that too, as you were speaking, is that there's no cost, because so often they'll have to invest a tremendous amount of money into quote unquote software, and that will integrate with everything. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir when I say this to you, but that is, I can tell you, in the law firms that I manage, 80% of our time is going back and forth with reporting and the cohesiveness between the CRM and the bank accounts and the paper trail, so to speak. And there's so much wasted time and effort in regards, and errors, quite honestly, in regards to the implementation of new bulky, heavy IOLTA software or whatever it is from a place of trust accounting. And then it just completely destroys the law firm from an implementation perspective.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And frankly, I have an MBA and an engineering degree. And, when I went to engineering school, they never taught me about business. So I had to kind of go and learn the business side of things to run a business, because I was an engineer and never had to do it. I think with lawyers, it's a very similar story.
Mm-hmm.
You go to law school and they never talk to you about running a business, accounting, finance, the compliance side of things. And so, our mission at Nota is to provide compliance, accounting, and financial type services as a service to our clients, not just the tools, but also a team of specialists, which my team is, to be able to, reduce that burden on attorneys so they can spend more time focusing on their practice and the law side of the business and not the business itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I'm hearing from you, it really complements their current process. There's no manual entry of dollar amounts in and out of accounts. It really is able to complete that instant reconciliation as many times as we would like. And, sometimes several times a week or what have you, depending on the cash flow and the moving of accounts of in and out. And it's way, the reporting, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but I'll just say it out loud. It's worth repeating is that attorneys love KPIs. They love reporting. They love a paper trail. They love the tracking, whether it's online or what have you. But it sounds like you're able to obtain clean, instant client reports, right?
Molly, that's right. And at the end of the day, we are a Fortune 500 bank, and we adhere to all the regulatory rules. And so we provide the paper trail because we are the bank. And ultimately, anytime you need a paper trail, you go to your bank because that's the only institution you can trust. Because we're so highly regulated and experts, in operating in a regulatory environment. So I believe that gives us a very unique position to help take on this challenge. And I'll tell you, having been on this journey for a little over a year, it's a pretty big challenge as you take into account various state regulations, the ABA requirements. And so our goal is to deal with all of that so the attorney doesn't have to.
Mm. Yeah, and as you said, so the attorney doesn't have to, but even lawyers listen up. And maybe the attorney's not doing it right now, but what we find is they have outsourced bookkeepers or they have outsourced fractional CFOs or what have you, or in-house somebody who's also responsible for managing and reconciliation of what have you of his account. And I can't tell you the countless of times that Susie or Billy or what have you leaves, whether on good terms, bad terms, and they have the best intentions, no ill will, what have you. But this area is always the biggest area of anxiety, number one, and absolutely the area of errors.
Yeah, and you mentioned attrition, bookkeeper, and having kind of that supporting staff. What we're seeing from our users, and we're very user centric. I know a lot of companies talk about that, but since my team are a group of technologists and bankers. I don't have just not yet. I don't have lawyers on a team yet. So the way we're overcoming that is that we're actually working very closely with our community and paying a very close attention to the feedback that they're giving us. And so as we recognize a product, we build it within a few weeks and getting in the hands of our users. So what I'm hearing from users very consistently is that we feel like we are their technology arm and an extension of them and that's a very, very powerful feeling to have when you're a solo or a small law firm and you've got a large group of technologists backed by a Fortune 500 bank building, financial tools for you.
Love it. Wow. So for firms, I would venture to guess that you've sold us all in regards to this. Talk to us a little bit about, so to make the decision, this is a no-brainer, absolutely no upfront cost. You make it so very seamless, effortless, obviously have the proof of concept, the backing, absolutely with M&T Bank. Talk to us a little bit about kind of the attorneys. They like to know they're in full control. So talk to us a little bit about some of the built-in controls that you all have.
It's no different, in the regulatory industry. You need to have all those kind of checks and balances in place. And so when you log in into your online banking, you can see all your transactions there. And with Nota, it's a very similar experience, except when you log in into Nota, you have the ability to tag transactions for your sub accounts for specific clients. And at the end of the day, we archive all the reporting on your three-way account reconciliation reports, and you can go back and pull those. And ultimately, as a regulated industry, we have to hold on to those transactions for multiple years. So you have the paper trail, you have the checks and balances, and you have that peace of mind because my team, not only you're getting the technology side of things, but also you're getting a team that's constantly reviewing and looking for mistakes on behalf of our users so they don't have to.
It's amazing. So what would be some of the objections of why anyone, I can't think of any, but if there are any for this barrier of entry and or why a law firm or a business owner attorney would not want to simplify their trust accounting management so they can have the freedom to practice law, what are some of the objections that you and I both know are false that people you hear, if any, of why this is not a no-brainer?
There are fundamentally two reasons, Molly. And one is, hey, I'm really happy with my bank. This is great, but I have a relationship there for many years, and they're close to my house or my office, and I'd like to stay there. Or two, we have a process. It's not perfect, and I have a support system which consists of people and process around me. And you know what? I don't want to make a change. I think some folks are resistant to that change, and even though something is significantly better and a huge improvement, but that's just we're all human, and that's kind of the nature of it. So those are the two fundamental reasons why not.
Yeah, and that's to your point, we're all human, which is one of the reasons to depend on this fintech. Because to your point, I have my people and my process, and within people and process or process driven by people versus process driven by technology, there is a huge open gate for human error.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And honestly, there is just the way this topic is. I mean, it's a fairly dry topic. I think very few people wake up and get excited about trust accounting. But the truth be told, it's a very ambiguous subject. It's a fairly complicated subject for most. And so that's why we kind of took this on as a very hard problem and tried to simplify it, but also provide that regulatory oversight to give our users that peace of mind. So really Nota is almost like an insurance policy that you must have. That's how I think about it.
Absolutely. You absolutely must have, especially in the areas of, PI, real estate, family, criminal defense, estate planning, most of our clients, immigration, what have you. And to your point, that regulatory compliance really allows you to not wake up at 2:00 in the morning in a pool of sweat, and or when a client sends you an email and says, "What about?" and you panic, because especially when it comes time to trust administration and things of that nature, it really removes a lot of the headaches around the to your point, in law school, they do not teach you about running a business. They absolutely do not teach you about accounting and kind of the risks and the rewards and all that, and really having that trust account reconciliation.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, what do you hear from your clients and your audience in terms of some of the headaches, particularly in a current pandemic setting that we're in, as it comes to banking in general or finance in general?
Yeah, there's many different things that I hear. Is number one of just the transferring of the funds from the into the operating account and things of that nature. When it's built on the human, what have you, that when we go to run reports at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, we see that, money was never moved out of the trust account. We also see that money either was in the operating account and never moved to the trust account. We see that, it's just very, very arduous process that is not streamlined. And it seems to be take up an enormous chunk amount of time in our weekly and monthly and quarterly meetings when we are looking at, okay, what is the work complete, moving the money around, when do we earn the money, things of that nature. And it's all human. When it's built on the human, it does not give the attorney that full faith and confidence to let go and have the freedom to practice law the way that they can, the best way that they can, with full faith and confidence. Every attorney that I've talked to in 25 years, their greatest fear is malpractice. It's pounded in your head in law school. And attorneys are trained skeptics. They've been trained that, like, very classically. And so from a place of they spend so much time reconciling their books, going through their P&Ls, going through their operating accounts, going through their trust accounts, what have you. And they want to scratch. Even on Monday, I was with a firm. I work with their bookkeeper. I work with their CFO. I work with the firm. And honestly, just this Monday, we're having the conversation. And the attorney still said, I can't see straight. I'm so sick of looking at all these Excel spreadsheets. I don't know what to trust. I don't have full faith and confidence in this process, from the place of engagement agreement to where funds go in the operating account, where they go into the trust account, at what point do they move. I know we have our process. It's pretty simple and straightforward. We deliver work, we complete the work, and then we would get paid and we'd be able to move that. But that's not even necessarily, they don't have trust in the numbers. Because what I love what you're saying is to the penny. And very, very rarely is it to the penny, because the dependency on the reporting and the information is on spreadsheets that are exported out of bank accounts versus having the directly tied to the client matter in your bank account, which is what I love to hear you say today.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's just such a frustrating point, because what I hear from our users is very consistent with what you said, Molly. Really, hey, at some point they feel like it's diminishing returns to try to reconcile things to the penny, and at the end of the day, the bank account is the source of truth. The money is either there or it isn't, and if it isn't, we have the trail to be able to tell you where it moved and where it went, because we have that responsibility as a financial institution to know where your money went. And so, and movement between the operating and your trust account, we're one of the things on our roadmap now is now apply the same functionality we've built for an IOLTA account to the operating account, because this is what our users had asked for. So we're in the process of extending that functionality for them to the operating account.
Yeah. And, and to your point, I can't tell you how many fights I've witnessed in Zoom rooms, even way before the pandemic, between the attorney and the office manager and the bookkeeper of what have you. You would think it's really simple. If the money's either there or the money's not, but it's never that conversation when it's dependent on human beings. And when it is automated versus not automated, when it's manual versus automated. And, Nota, there's no charge. So I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting a commission for screaming from the rooftops that this is a no-brainer to operate, and to deploy as soon as possible, because it's based on a digital solution, which, if the pandemic has not taught us anything, technology and digital solutions we're not going backwards. We are not going back to a paper calendar. We are not going back to spreadsheets. We are not maybe even ever going back to an office where we are all under the same roof at every single time. So the automation and the digital solution to help lawyers track and manage, especially client funds within their IOLTA account, is critical and crucial now more than ever. And it really, what I'm hearing you, closes the loop between your bank account, your checkbook, your client ledger, so you can spend your time on what matters, which is serving the clients. Especially, we are all in the personal and professional services. So managing your firm, managing your client, managing the experience, and especially when it comes to people's money, that is the biggest anxiety. We always say to our clients when they're, getting ready to do all their trust accounting and things in nature, as soon as you can get the client to bring their shoebox, which we call the shoebox of anxiety, which is all their accounts, all their funds, all their paperwork that makes them break out and hide. And literally you can take that and then automate it and make it as streamlined as possible, and be able to give them that reporting, to be able to look at the reporting internally through your operations and your management, is, I think, music to every attorney that I know and I've spoken with in the past 25 years.
Yeah, and Molly, if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. So what we'd love to do is, ask your audience to, visit us on trustnota.com, book a 15-minute conversation with an IOLTA guru that will walk you through the process, understand your needs, and if we feel like, we'll definitely save you time and provide you an excellent service, we'll absolutely will, welcome you as a user. But if we feel like you're better off where you are, believe me, we'll be the first ones to tell you because we believe that's a great business practice. So, I ask that you guys visit us on trustnota.com, select the time that works for you with my team, and we'll be delighted to kind of walk you through our process and understand your process and see if there is a great fit.
Well, thank you for that. And I really, 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 really want to commend you for bringing this product, this service, this technology, this automation to my awareness, because I can tell you when managing law firms, this takes up an enormous amount of unnecessary time in our finance meetings, in our operations meetings. And I'm really excited to get on stage with you and speak at Moshe's event. And again, in the show notes, we will have all your links, how you can get a hold of Paul, how you can learn more about Nota, and take advantage of a complimentary 15-minute diagnostic call to see if it's a good fit for you.
Absolutely, Molly. Looking forward to it. I hope to have my slides done soon.
All right. Thank you for being our guest. I'm going to have everything in the show notes for how to get a hold of you. For our listeners, it might be driving or running or exercising or what have you. Maybe you don't have access to the show notes. You go to trustnota.com and you can always reach out to me and I will connect you with Paul as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being our guest today. Okay, listeners, that is a good stopping point at this time. I really hope that you take advantage of trustnota.com and get on that 15-minute complimentary demonstration. And until next time, this has been another episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions.